This week on Choice Hacking. On April 19th, 1995, a man robbed two banks in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in broad daylight. And while we're used to seeing bank robbers in movies wear all kinds of masks to disguise their faces, presidents, cartoon characters, or in the case of the film Baby Driver, Mike Myers.
What the is this mask?
Austin Powers.
Doc said Michael Myers.
This is Mike Myers.
It should be the Halloween mask.
This is a Halloween mask.
No, the killer dude from Halloween.
Oh, you mean Jason?
No!
This Pittsburgh bank robber went a different direction. He didn't wear a mask at all. A tip led police to a man named MacArthur Wheeler, and when they knocked on his door, Wheeler was stunned. Despite showing his bare face to probably dozens of security cameras and bank employees, he thought police would never find him. He kept repeating one curious phrase, "But I wore the juice." When the police asked him what he meant, Wheeler told the officers he had rubbed lemon juice on his face so it would be invisible to the security cameras. Now, he wasn't delusional. Wheeler had just made a big mistake. You see, lemon juice can be used as invisible ink. Wheeler knew this, and he assumed that lemon juice could also make his face invisible to security cameras. He even tested it by rubbing lemon juice on his face and taking a photo, which mysteriously came out blank, probably due to user error. Wheeler's story was covered in the local news, and it caught the eye of a professor named David Dunning, who recognized the universal truth of Wheeler's mistake, that people with least knowledge in a subject area, in this case invisible ink, often overestimate their knowledge and abilities. This inspired observation became the basis of what's now known as the Dunning-Kruger effect. I'm Jennifer CLINEHENS, and you're listening to Choice Hacking, a podcast about applying behavioral science and psychology to business, marketing, experience design, and more. Today on the podcast, we're exploring the Dunning-Kruger effect, how you can outsmart it in yourself and spot it in those around you. But before we get started, I want to take a moment to talk about my newest choice hacking course, How to Get More Clients with Science. If you work in an agency or consultancy, or a freelancer, or if you're a service industry entrepreneur, I don't have to tell you that winning new clients is the lifeblood of your business. But it kind of sucks. Selling your services can feel scummy, fake, and honestly mysterious when you don't understand the psychology behind why clients buy. Luckily for us, behavioral science and psychology aren't just about nudging our clients' customers. They can also help us win over potential clients through pitches, proposals, and even the way we price. To learn more and decide if it's right for you, visit choicehacking.com/clients. That's choicehacking.com/CLIENTS. Now on to the show. Coined by psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger, the Dunning-Kruger effect says that people who are unskilled at a task, often because they're new at it, are overly positive when asked to evaluate their skills. Although inspired by MacArthur Wheeler's story, the official principle was based on a series of experiments published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. Dunning and Kruger concluded that people fail to recognize their own incompetence because they don't have the skills to recognize it. So let me explain. Think about somebody who's never ice skated before. They take a few lessons for a few months, and suddenly they're acting like know-it-alls. They're overconfident. They've experienced some skating and have learned maybe a few fancy moves, but they don't yet know what they don't know. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a type of cognitive bias, a systematic error in thinking. Cognitive biases are kind of like shortcuts for making decisions, but they often lead us astray. Everyone is susceptible to them, no matter their age, their education level, their gender or cultural background. They're just a quirk of human behavior. You see, our brain has to take in an incredible amount of information every day. but it also wants to save as much thinking energy as possible because thinking is metabolically expensive. So in other words, it uses a lot of calories. So our brain relies on generalities or rules of thumb to help it make hard decisions fast. We rely on cognitive biases when we're emotional, rush to decide, or feel social pressure to make a choice. But everyday thinking and decision-making are subject to cognitive bias as well. Here's a quick example. Let's say you have a headache, and there's 2 identical aspirin you can take. You don't know anything about these 2 pills. There's no brand name, no packaging, outside of a tiny white pill sitting in your hand. All you've been told is that one pill is the fastest growing brand of aspirin in history, and millions of people are talking about how great it is on TikTok. Which one of these pills do you think you're more likely to take? If you were rational, well, you would weigh the evidence and say, it doesn't really matter. They're the same aspirin. There's nothing different. It's not a different brand. It's not a different formulation as far as you know. One's just trending and the other one isn't. Well, research suggests you'll probably take the more popular aspirin. And it's because we use a mental shortcut that says the more popular something is, the better or more effective it must be. This is an example of a cognitive bias called the bandwagon effect. And it says that when we see people jumping on a trend or a product, we make an assumption. If most people are doing it, it's probably okay for us to do it too. Cognitive biases are really sneaky. So how can we tell if we're falling victim to one? Specifically, the Dunning-Kruger effect. Here are a few common clues that someone, including you, might be falling victim to the Dunning-Kruger effect. First, the person will not be open to criticism or to help. They'll see these as personal attacks or threats to their ego. Victims of Dunning-Kruger are often very confident in their ability to do something. Confidence isn't usually a bad thing, but overconfidence can signal that someone doesn't know what they don't know. You can spot this effect in professional environments. You'll notice that victims of Dunning-Kruger are difficult to work with and believe they always have killer ideas. New graduates fall for Dunning-Kruger quite a bit, and ambitious, competitive people can be some of the worst offenders. And if they spot someone that has actual skill in this area, many victims of Dunning-Kruger will attack or even bully these folks because their actual skill is a threat to these people's image of their own non-existent skill. For example, imagine you work with a CEO who comes up with an idea for a marketing campaign. They think this idea is a winner and nobody can change their mind. They might receive some expert suggestions on how to improve the campaign, but instead of thoughtfully considering these points, they might get offended and attack the person making the suggestions. It's possible that their confidence in their own ability has outweighed their marketing skills. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. They just have an unrealistic picture of their own abilities, and they're threatened when someone points out weaknesses in their ideas. It's also worth saying that anyone can fall victim to Dunning-Kruger, from the CEO down to the new intern. So how can we avoid it? Here are 3 simple strategies you can use to help avoid the Dunning-Kruger effect. Number 1, keep practicing and learning. Incompetent people who overestimate their ability rarely keep practicing and refining their skills. They already believe they're experts, so why would you waste time learning more? But when you're always learning and practicing a skill, you're less likely to overestimate your abilities. Instead, you'll be more aware of your own limitations and understand how far you have to go until you're an actual expert. Number 2, ask for feedback. The second strategy is to get feedback from other people. It's hard to spot areas of improvement yourself because it's not easy to see your skills objectively. But by getting feedback from trusted experts and friends, you'll be able to identify areas for improvement without being blinded by your own ego. And number 3, challenge what you know. The best way to avoid the Dunning-Kruger effect is by taking the time to challenge your own thinking and skills without letting your ego get in the way. Thank you for listening to the Choice Hacking Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it on social media. It takes me a long time to put together every episode, and it is such a huge help when you share an episode with your LinkedIn, Twitter, or even your TikTok followers. And don't forget, you can learn more about behavioral science and psychology applied to business when you subscribe to the free Choice Hacking newsletter. You'll join more than 7,000 brilliant UX, CX, and marketing folks from companies like Google, Coke, and Disney. To sign up, just visit choicehacking.com/subscribe. That's choicehacking.com/subscribe. Until next time.
I hit record, drop, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming now these cars and planes, I'm always boarding. Just out touring down in Charlotte like I play for Hornets.